Electrical overload.
I can fix that.
Okay, so uh, today we will continue from this point. So we had done the qualifiers, which were static, extern. These are the two main ones, and along with that, we had done the const, the register, and the volatile. So now what we'll do is we will continue from this point onwards, and there are some couple of interesting requirements which big project implementations generally have, and C language has come up with one unique way of dealing with that. This is through macros. So we have done the macros earlier. We know macros are nothing but the hash define kind of things, and these requirements are kind of handled through the macros. So the first requirement which comes is something like this, and perhaps now that you understand that how the code has been split into .c and .h, perhaps it is easier for us to appreciate and understand. So let's see basically what this requirement is all about. So let's imagine that this globals.h file is something which almost every, uh, all the other files perhaps might require. Now, this basic ops db.h file, so let's say the writer of this basic ops db.h file, what this writer is doing is that he or she is exposing the constructs which are defined in basic ops db.c file and which are to be used by the world outside. Imagine that basic ops db.c requires globals.h. Okay. So what is the way out? The one way out is basically after I do this basic ops db.h over here, at least for .c file, I can always do hash include globals.h. But this satisfies this purpose over here because basic ops db.c author knows that it is required to use basic ops, globals.h. But what about other people who are using basic ops db.h and they may not know that globals.h is required? So now if interface.c requires globals.h by itself, it is okay. But it might be the case that interface.c does not require globals.h. In that case, interface.c will not include that. But that will create a problem because this basic ops db.h will not have globals.h inside that. And what is going to happen is some of the things which are some of the, let's say, structure which are part of globals.h and used by basic ops db.h and basic ops db.c, those will not be exposed in interface.c. So there will be problem in compilation of interface.c. So what interface.c guy is going to say is going to say that I included this basic ops db.h and I get a compilation. So many times what this if basic ops db author knows that this globals.h is required inside this basic ops db.c as well as for h, what they typically tend to do is they tend to do this. So basic ops db.h file will write the first line as hash include globals.h. So what happens because of that? Neither basic ops db.c nor anyone else need to include globals.h separately. And whenever anyone includes basic ops db.h, globals.h also gets invariably included. This is a nested kind of inclusion. That basic ops db.h is including globals.h and likewise, basically. So interface.c is including basic ops db.h, which is including globals.h, etc., etc. So the fine. So now this is the situation. Now there is so maybe we may think that we have solved the problem. Okay, but you know these nested declarations become too clumsy after some point in time. Imagine that basic ops db.h thinks that it requires perhaps, let's say, uh, some, let's say, special ops db.c, and there is a special ops db.h also, right? So or maybe interface.h is over here. Fine. So let me draw somewhere over here. Let's say I want to draw special ops.h. Okay, so let me draw a shape over here and let me call it as special ops dot h. Okay, now it might be the case that this special ops dot h, okay, and special ops dot c. So perhaps this special ops dot c, of course, it will include hash include special ops special ops dot h. Okay, now special ops dot h might, or special ops dot c or special ops dot h might require basic ops dot h. Okay, so someone will write hash include basic ops dot h. Okay, fine. And what basicops.h has done, the basicops.h knows that globals.h is required. So basicops.db.h has included hash include globals.h inside. So now actually there is no problem. So what is going to happen is that this special ops.c is going to get the declaration of globals.h also through this hash include of special ops.h, for which this whole contents of special ops.h are written over here, but that includes contents of basic ops.h, that also gets included, and basic ops.h has contents of globals.h, that also gets included. This is a nested inclusion which happens, and preprocessor takes care of that. Now the problem is not this. Problem is special ops.c writer himself or herself know that they are explicitly going to use some declarations from globals.h. Now they don't know, and they don't want to, go through all these nested inclusions to figure out if anywhere, there is some globals.h mentioned over there or not. So the first thing basically they are going to do is basically they are going to say that, okay, special ops.h are included, but I know that I require globals.h more prominently. So let me include this also. Okay. This is because this nested inclusion, I can have level of 4 or 5 levels also. So no one wants to go through each and every included, and it's not as if that only one file gets included. There's so many files get included. No one wants to go through all the files and check that whether global this particular .h file is included or not. So now what has happened is with this. Now what do you think will happen? I mean this hash include special ops.h I have done, which include basic ops.h, which includes globals.h. And now special ops.c author included globals.h separately because he or she thinks that the declarations in globals.h are required. Okay. So what do you think is going to happen now? Twice including may give error? Not exactly. The compiler actually does not know about the inclusion, because that inclusion thing is known only to the preprocessor. So it may give an error. I'm asking the question that what do you think the error will come? Linker may give an error. Why linker will give an error? So linker typically, what kind of error linker can give, for example? Okay, and why linker gives an error? Remember that in .h file we say that typically we'll try to keep the declarations, okay, not definitions. I mean, there is a variable, the definition of that variable, I mean, where the memory is allocated, it will be somewhere in one of the .c files. That is generally the idea, except for only for this reason. So I think that is a good point. So firstly, let's see that first understand that there is multiple inclusion of the same file, which is globals.h, which means multiple inclusion of the contents of this globals.h in specialops.c. So if I write int frequency over here and not external int frequency, what is going to happen is that specialops.c will have two declarations of int frequency, and then it is going to create an error. So that's why what I did was I didn't do this int frequency, I did external int frequency over here. Okay. So actually there may not be much problem with this. It might creep, it might give a warning saying that same variable has been, declared twice. But generally the linker error will not come. That is the point that I mentioned. Linker error will come if this happens. Okay. Although there are actually multiple so it's not only the declarations of global variables, there could be declarations of structures, right? Let's say student record. So you define something like struct student record something that might be part of globals.h. So what is going to happen is that because globals.h is included twice, and we know by now that meaning of inclusion is very simple. It is that contents of this globals.h is kind of copy pasted over here. So you can imagine that contents of globals.h are copy pasted as part of this specialops.h because it internally contains globals.h somewhere, and you explicitly included globals.h also. Now it might happen that it is not because of explicit inclusion, even if it might be the case that I just included interface.h and both of them independently, include globals.h. That can also happen. So whatever be the situation, there is a situation that multiple inclusions of the same file, and that's why the contents of the same file the compiler is still going to creep about that. Okay, GCC definitely I think will creep about it, saying that same structure has been declared twice. Okay, so it doesn't like it. So what it means is, okay, over here. So what is the way out of it? I mean if I don't do it, I can't tell programmers, or even if I am the manager, I can't take programmers not to include. Rather, I will say that you please include all the header files that you require, and everyone is going to include globals.h. Many of them are going to include globals.h because of that. And there could be this guy who is a special ops who wants to include all special ops.h and then interface.h and maybe basic ops db.h, everything. And then maybe because of that, these globals.h get included multiple times. But then manager has said that you have to include whatever you require. So this basic ops db.h guy will say, don't blame me. I included whatever because basic ops db.h guy, they are going to say that they require globals.h. So that's why they included. Otherwise, someone else will creep. Let's say sort db.h requires basic ops db.h, and if basic ops db.h does not include globals.h, sort db.h will creep, saying that basic ops db.h when I include file because there's some declaration globals.h is absent. So it is responsibility of basic ops db.h to include that. So I don't know whether you have realized that you have a catch-22 situation. You understand catch-22, right? I mean, catch-22 is a famous book you can refer to. It is essentially a situation where either whatever you do, you are doomed. Basically, you are blamed either in anything you do. Okay, you are in a problem. So it's a catch-22 situation because of that, and we have to provide a solution. So what is the solution? Solution is we want the contents of globals.h to be included only once. Even if there might be multiple ways. .h, it might come through interface.h, it might directly come through globals, anything could be there. But globals.h, basically contents of that should not be included multiple times in specialops.c because compiler otherwise will not be able to compile specialops.c file. Okay. So I think at least the question is clear. If not, you can ask me. So I want to understand whether the question is clear. So there is a solution, and that solution typically will be known to people who have at least seen at least once some code on GitHub in C language which has been written, some C code on GitHub or somewhere else, where only once, even if it might be the programmer as part of different inclusions. Okay, that is the idea. So idea is that you have exactly one copy of the contents of each of the header file that is included, whatever it is included. Okay. Solution. So this is a globals.h file. Okay. Now, those who have C file in your editor, and if you have right from first line, if you have gone through, then you would see some line like this. Okay. Uh, so let me write the name outside so that we don't get confused. So hi, this is, so let me move this. This is globals.h. Okay. And the first line that you will see over here, this is the first line. Okay. So let me remove the space over here. Okay. And then the file content start. And in the end, the last line of this thing will be hash endif. Okay. So what we have done over here. Okay. So there is this conditional inclusion is what it is. So that is what we are doing over here. So what we are doing is that we are defined a kind of a macro whose name is the same as the header file, except for that all the letters are written in caps and the dot over here is replaced by underscore. That is the nomenclature. I mean that is not a compulsion, but that is something like a nomenclature which is followed. Okay, it's a practice which is followed. So what we are saying is that if this macro is not defined, we are defining the macro. We are saying hash define globals underscore h. It doesn't matter whether you write 10 or 20 or over here or not, write nothing over here. So what preprocessor does is it just keeps track of the names of the macros which anywhere come under hash define the name. Okay, and now whatever is there on the right side, it means that it is not being replaced by anything. So anyway, that is not the idea. We don't want to use globals underscore h for replacement. It is more just for definition. So even if you write 10 over here or don't write anything over here, it's perfectly okay. So typically you will find something like this, and then you will find hash endif in the end. So can someone guess what is happening over here? By the way, this can be also written. So let me copy this. So this can be also written alternatively, and that actually uh, many programmers prefer. Just the hash if and def. Okay, and that's it. Yeah. So what is happening over here? So it is saying that it is actually not saying that if globals.h is not included, please include it. Okay, rather it is saying that if globals underscore h, this macro is not defined, then only consider the remaining stuff. Look at what is the remaining stuff, this one which I have just highlighted, except for this hash and diff, because that is part of the preprocessor command. So this is the preprocessor command it is executing. So first level, so it says that this is the command, so and it is not defined. So initially the first guy who is going to include globals underscore h, okay, as part of the compilation. So at that point, basically for that particular file, remember that for that particular .c file, the first inclusion of globals underscore h, at that point globals underscore h macro is not being defined. So what the first thing it will do is, if it is not defined, it defines the macro. Okay, so this is basically, this is part of the file globals.h file, which gets included over there. Okay, in wherever you are including globals.h the first time. Okay, the thing is, now the second time if someone says hash include globals.h directly, and it comes in, the compiler comes in over here, remember it is the same part, same compilation which is happening for the same file which is happening, right? Special ops, let's say special ops.c. And then second time it comes in over here and it asks the question, is it not defined? Is globals underscore h is not defined? That is not true. It is defined, basically you already defined it. So macro, so the preprocessor finds out that globals underscore h macro has been defined, so it just skips everything basically up to hash end, which means that it completely skips the file. Okay, so what this macro is doing is that actually it is, the game is being played whether globals underscore h macro has been defined or not being defined. And if it is basically not being defined, then you are not actually giving the command that you include. It is more like basically you just say that the processor needs to capture or get everything, basically get included. It is assumed. And if it is defined already, then don't do that. So that actually leads to or rather that avoids the problem of multiple inclusion of the same header file. Okay, so many times you would see, typically this is more popular, so many times you would see that in the open source code or in any .h file that you include, even in from at.h or anything, string.h or anything, you'll figure out that they write a macro name which is essentially name of the header file itself, all caps, and dot being replaced by underscore. Okay, why so this nomenclature helps a lot, because you don't have to keep on inventing newer names, right? The name is contained in the name of the header file itself, and then no two different files are going to have the same name anyhow. So actually that handles the uniqueness part of it. So this is the simplest way in which it gets done, and you will see this code almost. I mean, it is almost a crime not to write this in the header file, because in very big project, it's invariably this particular problem exists. So this has to be done. Okay, so again, this is something that as programmers, as students, we get confused when we see this declaration, that why it is important. I mean many times we'll say, okay, we understand what it is being doing, but we don't know that why this is important. So the importance is because of this setting where we have to do a lot of things. Okay, and now we come to the last implementation or the last application of macros, and which is essentially writing the same code for different operating systems. So till that point, basically, if there is any doubt at this point, quickly on whatever I have just covered, I can just resolve it. Otherwise, we can move ahead. I think this was intuitive enough. This was simple enough to understand. If you are paying attention right from beginning, what I was mentioning, then I think this was very obvious what I just said. Okay, so I hope there are no questions. If there is a question, I will just wait for a few seconds and take the question. Okay, no question, fine. So now, so this is also called as conditional inclusion. Okay, conditional inclusion of a header file. Okay. So, so just now over here we did, and this is to avoid, as I said, to avoid multiple inclusion of header files. Okay. Now there is the next topic, which is again our next application or next requirement from program perspective. So imagine that you have been given to write a big project. Okay. And you have been told that this program that you are writing should work on all the operating systems, on Unix, on Windows, on perhaps iOS, which is the Apple's operating system, and likewise, and maybe different versions of Linux also. Now, if you use pure C language, okay, so what the programming languages do is that they exactly do the same thing. They say that I have this programming language, and this programming language, has these constructs, and you use these constructs, and whichever operating system you use, the language implementers on that operating system takes care that this language works. So in a way, giving programming language itself is a solution to this problem, right? And it's perfectly right, except for one particular requirement. Many people rather, who work in OS domain or in system programming, what we call, they use the constructs which are given specifically by the given operating system. Okay, or just to put it another way, that you might have this globals underscore h. Imagine that there are multiple globals underscore h file which are available, and they are available based on based on let's say on the operating system that we are using. Now you might ask the question that how it is possible, because it is very difficult to difficult to imagine that the variables can need to change based on the operating system, and I agree with you. So that is not the requirement. The requirement is that many times what happens, some of the declarations that we do, they're operating system specific. So I can give you one example that and you will understand this point better when you do in the next semester, when you do the operating systems course. So let's say that there is a file. So many times we want to write system program in maybe in C language, and where we have to interact with the constructs of the operating system or the declarations which are internal to the operating system. Okay. So let's say that there is something, you have to just believe me, that there is something called as let's say inode. Okay, this is a structure, and this inode essentially is you can imagine it's essentially an index for a file. So there is a file system inside inside every operating system, and this file system is implemented by that particular operating system, and it has been decided, let's say at least different Unix versions will agree, or now everyone has picked up that there has to be a structure called as struct inode, which essentially stores the entries which are required to store index of a file. Okay, so imagine that whatever the file system that we are seeing is a visual representation of that. Internally, the OS is maintaining its own data about that particular file. So for example, it could be whether it's a text file or binary file, then whether it is readable, writable, editable, and all those things, executable, and all those things. So whatever the information we have about how many characters are there, how many bytes are there.
Sir,
Also,
your screen share is off.
Sorry?
Your screen sharing is off.
Sorry. So let me, yeah, I didn't realize it. But anyway, I didn't do too much over here. So I just drew two things. Just wrote one. So this was actually, I think this globals, this was done, right? And this you could have seen. This hash defined globals underscore h. This was done. I think we are talking about this. So I have not written much basically. I have just written this struct inode. So there is no writing. I'm almost talking. So let's say that there is this struct inode, which is basically which the operating system needs to have, and internally to that there might be a lot of different information for this file system or a particular file which is stored over there. So it could be number of bytes. So I could say that it has num bytes. This is again as I said, don't pick me up. I'm giving you the the overall idea. Okay, if you are so much interested in figuring out what inode contains, you can just type it in Google and you would get it. Okay, and some of the things you may not understand, so because you have not done the operating system science, but essentially it may store different pieces of information over here. And plus there is a pointer it will store, which is the file pointer, and which is where it can refer to the file contents essentially. So the point over here is different operating systems will have their own declarations of inode. Okay, that depends on what Windows guys thought, what the Linux guys thought, what Unix guys thought, etc. So the now the thing is that I am writing a program, and my program requires to refer to this inode. Okay. So if my program has to work on Windows separately and on Unix separately and on iOS separately, one way for me is to write one program for Windows and then go to the places. Let's say that I am following a notation, which may not be again true, but just for the sake of it, let's say for understanding, let's say that the Windows guys do this. They put inode underscore, let's say MS. They don't do that, but their names would be different. So I'm just using this underscore MS to give a different name. And let's say that the Linux guys, let's say Ubuntu guys, have done somehow they have agreed that they will use the name inode, and what they have done is they have done struct inode underscore, let's say Linux. Okay, and then similar some other data contents will be there, not exactly same as Microsoft. Okay, and some of those things will be very much specific to Microsoft on these Windows and Linux things like that. So the things will be very much different. Okay. So what are ways out? And I have been given a project to say that your program should work on Mac Windows as well as on Linux as well as on iOS. So what is the layout? I will create three different programs. In one program, I will use inode underscore ms. In another program, I will use inode underscore ms. In third program, I will use inode underscore iOS. Okay. So maybe I write three different. Imagine that let's say 1 lakh lines of code industry layer, and the code which is referring to these inodes might be just few hundred lines or even lesser than that. So I mean lines of code again and again, and then go to the appropriate location and then, make the change over there, and then but then it might lead to a lot of errors. So not only that, forget about this inode underscore ms. There might be three different globals.h file. Okay, for some specific files, let's say for that matter, someone has created. So I require hash include globals.h. Let's say, or let's say there is a globals.h file for Microsoft, and I will write underscore ms. Okay. And maybe this first guy contains this inode underscore ms over there. The second, no, I don't want to include all three files also in a particular project, right? I mean, because that is not preferable, because the Microsoft will not understand the structure which is Linux structure, and other way around. So what I want is, but this is how many lines this would be, which are referring to these structures. There might be a few hundred lines, let's say 500 lines, whereas the code is 1 lakh lines. Okay. So the issue is this, that just for 500 lines, are you going to copy your code base into three different copies, where most of the other things are exactly same? You may do it once in the beginning, but the problem is that it is not how projects get done. I mean, the implementation is just one part of it. Maintenance is the major issue. So when the different features get added, the code gets updated, and all those things, you are not going to, as a programmer, you will hate making exactly same change in multiple versions. Okay, and then there will be a lot of mess up over there, because something you did over here, you forgot to make changes over there, and there was a bug, then you fix it over here, but you forgot to fix it over there, and all those things will happen. So ideally, what do you require? Why I'm saying all these things? Ideally, what do you require? What do you think will give you a good way. But can I do? I mean, can I include all these ms.h, linux.h, and ios.h files? That is not going to happen. I need to have only one of the structures, basically either this or that or that. I cannot have this thing. So, what do you think? What is the requirement over here? Can you understand the requirement? What is the requirement? What is it that we want to happen? If you understand the requirement, then we can give the solution. Out of which 100 lines are specific to operating system. Another way is completely separate code bases. But then that is not what I require or what I desire. For me, right? hash elif system equal to iOS, then hash include globals underscore iOS.h. Now, what the preprocessor is going to do is that there is a environment variable called as system. That environment variable can be set independently from command prompt, or it can be set as part of the compiler directive, and it can be set to one of the values basically. So depending on what you are compiling your program for, you can set this environment variable either to Win32 or to Linux or to, let's say, iOS. Now, if you are on the Windows system, or many times this is an environment variable which is set by the system itself, by the operating system itself. In that case, you have to just know that what value, exact value that it gets set to. So if you know this basically, then you can write this in your program, or you can set this variable. You can ask user to set the variable. And if the user sets variable appropriately, then in that case, it means that what preprocessor does is preprocessor checks this system environment variable from the operating system. And if it realizes that the value which is being set is Win32, then in that case, it will just use this line and nothing else. So you can imagine that there is one layer of filtering which is happening in the header file by the preprocessor, even before it actually includes globals ms.h or globals, one level up. It does this filtering to decide which header file itself should be included. Okay, and if your system is Linux, it will then, in that case, it will not include this and will include this. So how the basic of db.h file is going to look like? It is not going to look like this. After first level of preprocessing, it will have only, I mean, if I just comment this out, okay, just for the sake of it. So after this first level of preprocessing gets done, this basic of db.h file will have one single line. Either it will be hash, okay, either it will be this, it will have just one single line, just like this. But what has happened, either this or this hash include globals underscore linux.h, either this or that, or globals underscore ios.h. But this decision was made based on what the current system is. Okay, and that's how this conditional inclusion of these two pieces. And then after that, it is normal life. I mean, then it is like I know that I'm already on Windows, and then I can include this globals ms.h, and I have included, and then normal compilation will take over. So here, based on the system, this was done. Okay, so this is basically conditional inclusion. And one more reason why this thing also gets used, not only for multiple systems, even for the same system, this such thing can be used in the part of the program. This is the header file inclusion I said, but even in the .c file. So remember that now when you write your project, many times you have this requirement, right? I mean, when you compile, you run, and then you debug, and then your program does not work. So what you do is, whenever let's say that there's something you have done, you add a lot of printf statements, and typically this is one of the ugliest printfs that perhaps everyone writes. I mean, your code is not working, and it is basically you don't know where it stopped working or where it reached over here. So many people have habit of basically writing something like this. Okay, this is printf I am here, which means that the control reached over here. Some people are a little bit better. They not only write this, but they also try to check values of different variables. So they say that %d, and maybe there is some count which is there. So they just want to check this count variable whether it is correct or not, whether some variable got the correct value or not. So so essentially all of us have habit of writing some or the other printf. But I don't want that when I want to show it to someone else. I want it only for myself. So this problem in program implementation or project implementations is known as basically whether your code is, they say that whether your code is a debug code or release code. Okay. So they say that, I want to do conditional compilation where only if it is debug, then only if it is a debug code, then only I want these statements to be there. So what they will do is they say that you write these hash if statements. So I will say that hash if debug, they just write hash if def, they can say if define debug. Okay, then they will say that if define debug, then I will say that hash printf I am here. Okay, and I may say hash endif. And maybe there is a release version. In release version, I might be basically maybe I'm printing some variable. So maybe in release I'm just printing the values. This can be part of debug also over here. And then let's say that as part of release, I want to do something else. So maybe hash if, so I can have hash if def release. Then there is a release version, and then perhaps some other things I can do. Which release meaning basically which is shown to the end user, or it is a what is called as production code, or the industry, or I mean the one which goes for to the user, to the end user. So there you want no print statements. You want just code just to run. But then when you want to debug, you want to put a lot of print statements. So if you put a lot of print statements, the end user is going to click. If you don't put these print statements, and if there is a bug, it comes back again, you have to put all these print statements in between. So better ways what they do is they decide that which mode you want to run, and then this variable, this debug can be defined. I mean, it can be defined outside of the code also, and you can say that, as I said, compile a directive. So you can say that I think minus d is the option. So minus d, it is equivalent of doing hash define. And then when you run the code, you know that in which mode you are running. Either you are running in the debug mode or in the release mode. So if you are running in the debug mode, then it will pick up the statements which are under debug. If you are running in release mode or any other mode, then it will not pick up the statements, and it will pick up additional compilation. And this has nothing to do with different systems. I mean, these are the same system. I mean, I'm working only on, let's say, Windows or on Linux. So even for the same system, I require these two different versions of the same code base, and that is being done through these debug entities. Okay, and this is one application where it can be done. So this is how these macros are used effectively. And with this, I can tell you that almost everything about the macros, except for that the writing kind of multi-line macros and functions, etc. Which you need not go into, but more or less most of the macro applications are being covered. So with this, we are now ready to, so with this, lot of loose ends for C language have been covered. And and these are which, as I said, these are nothing to do with data structures per se. And this is not directly part of data structures, but I wanted to take it because so that your programming skills become better, and you at least understand how other people, the professionals, write the program. So when you see some program on GitHub or anywhere else, you don't get surprised at what is all this is all about. I mean, what is this hash if and def doing? What is this globals underscore h is doing, and etc. etc. So perhaps you should be able to understand. And then the other file systems, the file operations that I do, that will definitely help you to to write your project where you can take inputs from the file. So I would expect now the inputs and output basically are taken from inputs are taken from the file, and outputs are written back onto the files basically as much as possible, mainly for the database kind of projects. So the GitHub, otherwise we can stop here and we can meet again on Wednesday. From Wednesday, we'll be starting with the data structures part. Okay, so we'll say we are all fine. You can put on the chat box and I will respond to that tomorrow. Okay, otherwise we can leave the meeting. Thank you.